It's an unbelievable, totally different from what I ever expected. I just thought you would be floating in the water and maybe they'd be rubbing you a little bit, but it's not like that. What you do is, what I found is, and I was told, you need to completely surrender to the massage therapist that's performing the Watsu. And if you do that, you just float. You're totally somewhere else. What I found is, you know, you're floating, you're being stretched, you're being massaged. You can just go into another world while you're having the therapy done.
For people who have never had a Watsu before, it is full of amazing things they have never expected, would never expect from a table massage. Partially it's because of the water. Well, it's all because of the water, but because of the water, you have the warmth, you have the acceptance, you have the comfort, you have the relaxation, but you also can move itty-bitty spinal muscles in rotation, because I can't push your hip down below the level of the flat table. Whereas in the water, I can rock your hips and your shoulders. I can move those little interspinal muscles that go, intervertebral muscles that go from vertebrae to vertebrae. Whereas on the table, usually that requires pressing a solid object, my thumb or my elbow, between your two vertebrae, which is less than comfortable. Whereas in the water, it's almost invisible. So, done with finesse, you may not realize all of the physical benefits you got while you were in the water until you get up and move. Because the therapy part of it will be invisible. You want to keep it invisible so that you don't trigger their resistance. So for some people, they might think, oh, we're not doing anything. In reality, it's having them not have to protect themselves and doing those small movements that give you longer lasting results, because the tissue doesn't have to rebound. It's been gently stretched and it can hold that longer.
Lynn and I were just hanging out in the grotto. It was late, it was dark, so the grotto at Two Bunch is a beautiful place. You know, the mineral water, it's surrounded by palm trees, which breaks into the sky, and there's stars, and you can almost touch them. And, you know, Lynn and I were just there and asked if I would like to just try a little bit and just to experience it, because I was a little bit on the fence of if I would, you know, be comfortable and all that, or if I would be able to even relax. And it was mind-blowing, the experience. It was like a dream. And that was the first Watsu that I had, where afterwards, I think as she brought me out of it, the only word I could come up with was crazy. I was so crazy. But that's just my verbiage, I guess. But I was out of my body. I was moving and floating, and you know, Lynn supported every time I was like, where's my arm gonna go next? Oh, it's right there. You know, that's the kind of experience it was, where I felt completely safe and secure and just nurtured and loved, and it got to be there. So we had a lot of space to move around in, and it was wild. It was wild.
Because you're being turned through the water, the therapist is constantly turning and moving, and you feel like you had a really good yoga session too. You're totally stretched out and relaxed by the end of the treatment.
Watsu is, amazingly enough, one of the fastest growing bodywork modalities I have ever seen. In less than 10 years, it went worldwide. And in another 10 years, I expect to see this in more hospitals. I expect to see it in more senior facilities, and hopefully in more spas, because it's good for the average Joe who wants to do stress release. It's good for the senior citizens who want to keep their range of motion. It even works for neural conditions. So it facilitates what we have and helps us to improve in the gradual process that's natural healing.
I know that at the end of a session they really seem very moved, very touched, and extremely relaxed. And I think a lot of times people say, well, I don't think I'll ever be able to go back to table massage. So I'm not sure that it replaces table massage. For me, that works on different levels, I think, than Watsu does. And I couldn't tell you that I prefer table massage to Watsu or vice versa. But I think Watsu really works on, like I say, in a lot of ways, very deep levels, mentally and physically, that massage on table may not really manage to do.
When you come in for a Watsu, a person's first Watsu treatment is basically going to be an exercise in surrender. It's difficult. It takes practice to, relaxation takes practice, surrender takes even more practice. And so here you are in the arms of someone you don't even know, being floated in the water. And so for some people it's difficult to really get into that relaxed space. For some people they just give it up right away, like they were in touch with their fish DNA or something. It's really very cool. So just depending on the person and then the skill of the practitioner, one of the very first things that you learn when you take Watsu and you train in Watsu is called the water breath dance. Harold calls it the water breath dance. And what you do is you're basically cradling the person in your arms, and then you get in touch with their breath. You just watch them breathe in and out. And as they inhale, they come up. As they exhale, they sink down. You synchronize your breath with their breath, and then that's when the miracles start to happen.
Once you surrender to the experience and totally relax, you're floating, and it's almost like you're in another world. You could be even in the womb if you relax enough. There's no pressure anywhere. You're just gliding through the water. You're able to experience nothing you can on land, that's for sure.
It's so much more than just a massage experience. A lot of people that I've spoken to, they explain it like it's being reborn. I don't know if I necessarily experienced that myself, but it was when I was finally able to just relax. It was dreamy. It was, you know, my body was outside of itself. I felt like I was swimming in an ocean with dolphins and whales and mermaids, and I mean, it's such a fantasy experience, but it was great.